RackaRacka Brothers are back with a brand new movie called Bring Her Back. This is, of course, Danny and Michael's second film, and after I saw Talk to Me, a movie that I absolutely loved, I've been clamoring to see what they were going to be able to do next. They didn't just choose to do a Talk to Me sequel, which has been announced, but we have no official details on that. They decided to go into a whole new route with A24 with another original horror film, and it might even be better than Talk to Me. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're discussing A24's latest horror masterpiece. Yes, I'm already calling it a horror masterpiece. It is absolutely one, titled Bring Her Back. This is about a brother and sister who uncover a terrifying ritual at their secluded home of their foster mother. Now, as I mentioned off the top, I was a massive fan of Talk to Me. I absolutely love that movie. I know it has some of its faults. I know it's a little bit slower pace, but it is a movie that I absolutely love the concept, and I love the main performance, and specifically the direction, and really much the way that they write and tell stories in this horror vein, and just in that same entertainment level. But what really surprised me with Talk to Me was the emotional values that they actually placed inside of that movie, and I'm excited to see if, like, Bring Her Back, I didn't know what to expect from it. I only had seen a little bit of the teaser trailer and decided to stay far away from everything else. And man, that is the best way to go into this movie, because I didn't know what to expect. This is on a whole other level of the horror genre. In a way, it is more of a drama with horror moments to it, but it is absolutely brilliant. And as I said, I find this film to be a masterpiece. And I think it honestly cements these brothers as this next horror generation to really much look out for. Like, truly enough, we've had, I feel like, some horror directors come in and cement themselves as this next generation's horror directors to look out for. And I think this is Danny and Michael's film that very much just showcases, yes, we are here to stay. And I'm so excited to be talking about Bring Her Back today. I have tons of thoughts, and I definitely can't wait to talk about them. So without further ado, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts. And just to show off a little bit, I have the Talk to Me hand. I can't place it right next to me, but it is so freaking cool, and I can't wait to see what A24 brings about from Bring Her Back. But what we did have is this floss. It's very clever marketing, because if you've seen Bring Her Back, you know what that's for. But with every movie review, I like starting to talk about my pros, and the number one thing I actually want to talk about with this film is very much just layout, how smartly written this story is told. Because Bring Her Back, as I said off the top, is a very vastly different type of horror movie than Talk to Me. But what I really loved about both these movies is that within the first 5 minutes, you're sucked into the story. You're sucked into whatever is going on and interested right off the top. Talk to Me had that incredible party sequence and then the knife into the head, and that was like so incredible. And Bring Her Back has something similar that just is so eerie, gets under your skin. You're like, I have to see where this is going. And as the film tenses up and builds up in, I would say, a little bit maybe of a slower manner than Talk to Me, I, for the most part, found that it was paced incredibly well and actually better than Talk to Me, and specifically the way that it layers out its story, its ideas, its performances, and when it decides to reveal certain things. And what I also loved about Bring Her Back was the fact that it also very much doesn't just have to handhold or like discuss and like exposition dump what is happening. It cleverly lets you as the audience visually find out as everyone else is finding out. And sometimes you'll get a perspective from one character that knows a little bit more of what's going on, and it places you in their shoes, so when the main protagonists are in danger, you kind of already have the upper edge of what's going to happen next, and you're hoping it doesn't happen next. And it's a very clever twist and turn of that. And it's a thin line you have to walk, because sometimes when you walk that, it takes away some suspense, but in this way, it only added to it. And it also never made you feel confused or questioning how certain things are going on. And as Talk to Me very much dealt with possession in a very unique way, Bring Her Back also does it in a very unique way. And it's fantastic to see how Danny and Michael were already able to direct 2 different possession movies, but in 2 different completely ways. And also make them complete, and also linger in grief, depression, but in a different degree. And I found that Talk to Me very much shows grief and depression in a way of how far would you go to understand where that person is now, and how far would you go to forget about those moments? And Bring Her Back deals with the title of how far would you go to potentially bring someone back? And that for me is just right off the top something that just latched onto me. And I think what Danny and Michael do so well here is they bring that element in, and it gets right under your skin. And the second you get to this secluded home, you can already tell that there's something off. And from the opening scene that you see here, there's little bits of mystery there. But as you come to this home, you start to realize certain things. And from an imagery level, from a cinematography level, from a direction level, they are able to play this out. And there's so many things that I want to talk about, like specifically in spoilers, but I won't, because I think the less you know about this, the better. And I found for that to just be brilliant. And I think besides the brilliant direction of them, I think the script is something to really be housed in here. I found the script to be more intelligent than talk to me at times. And I think for the most part, some people may be a little bit disappointed in Bring Her Back, expecting more of a jump scare galore or something that's a little bit faster paced. But this just goes as far to show how they have a lot to say in the horror genre. And I think horror is one of the deepest things that you can get in terms of anything, because you can have horror comedies, you can have horror, like straightforward horror films. And then you have films like this that can be tense, that can be unnerving, that can be disturbing. And I won't say that like this film's going to stick with me and like make me not be able to sleep, but it emotionally got under my skin to the point that I actually cried at one point, and I didn't expect to. And maybe it's because like I'm a new father and there's certain things that it deals with parenting and kids, but it really hit me hard at one point. And a lot of that is thanks to Sally Hawkins' incredible performance. I've never seen something like this from her before, but she is outstanding and delivers one of my favorite performances of this year. And in terms of the horror genre, probably top 5 of this decade. I also found Sora Wong and Billy Barratt to be also great protagonists, and 2 characters that are easy to follow along and get into the mix of this. But the scariest actor out of all this is Jonah Phillips, who you will be remembering for weeks to months. Very much a physical performance, but the direction, again, from these brothers and what they were able to tell Jonah to do just absolutely added to all the tension of Bring Her Back. And very much as you start to learn what is actually going on here, because that initial concept of like, how far would you go to bring someone back? I mean, as you learn how everything really pieces together, how these kids piece together, how this ritual works, how all these things, it very much just intertwines you into such a fucked up story that you'll leave going, what the fuck did I just watch? I don't think that's from like a visual level. Like there's disturbing imagery in here that I'll talk about in a second, but it very much is from the story that you're being told here, and one that leaves you in an emotional chokehold. And I did not expect to be left in that way. To even like some of the final pieces of imagery that you get in here are absolutely stunningly beautiful, but also haunting. Amazing. On top of this, the final shot of this movie might be one of my favorites of this decade as well. Like it will stick with me forever. And I feel like some films have actually tried to do the same type of final shot before, but it's never worked. And I think this is one of the first few horror films in a while that have actually landed this shot in a way that feels unique to itself, but also perfect for the ending of this story. And again, I didn't know much going into this other than the title, and assuming what the film was going to be about was bringing someone back. And how does that come out to be? And I think that is the best way to go into this, is just knowing what the title, seeing the poster, and understanding that synopsis. And that again is the best way to go into this movie. The thing I really want to talk about, of course, is a horror film. So the practical effects, the visual gags, all those sorts of things are just absolutely oozing with tension-filled moments. And I found myself like actually having my jaw hit the floor sometimes, just like I did with Talk to Me. Primarily, I found myself just wincing at moments, specifically with Jonah and what he does. Like I said, this little dental floss I have, something to do with teeth, something to do with a knife, and some things to do with skin. That's all you really need to know. And it's disgusting, but awesome at the same exact time. Kind of what I really liked about this movie is that it gets under your skin, and like you literally will have goosebumps watching this, but again, you'll have that emotional torture to yourself as well. And that is not something that I expected to get from this movie. I expected to just be entertained by this movie and have some scares to myself. But the scariest thing about this movie is actually the emotional chokehold that it'll put you in. I didn't, again, expect to get emotionally enwrapped in this movie, but I found myself absolutely invested with every single one of the aspects, and specifically Sally Hawkins, who is a character that is very much tortured and is very much someone who is feeling a lot. And again, I have to stay vague here, but I at times was understanding where she is coming from. And I never thought I would resonate with that personally, but I did. So the score in here, I think that's one last piece that a lot of people are going to be memorizing. Just fantastic. And the sound design, like what these brothers really can accomplish with the sound design and the directing of that, just some of it just gets right under your skin. I loved Bring Her Back, and I cannot wait to revisit this one after I'm emotionally fixed. Bring Her Back is a haunting and an emotionally devastating horror triumph. He and Michael solidify their status as this generation's masters of horror and seamlessly blend genres and weave them into powerful themes of grief with deeply disturbing imagery and a chilling atmosphere and a phenomenal performances. This is a horror masterpiece in my mind. Yes, we've had Sinners. That was a horror masterpiece. That was an incredible film and one that I can't wait to revisit all over again. But something about Bring Her Back is just super special, and it is one of my favorite films of this year. I've seen some mixed reviews and reactions from some people, but for me, this is the type of horror film that makes me love and fall in love with horror all over again. And I'm a baby when it comes to horror. I get scared pretty easily. This one didn't completely scare me, but this one really hit a soft spot for me, and one that I was not expecting. And I can't wait to see what these brothers do next. So with all that said, I'm going to give Bring Her Back an A+. Thank you so much again, guys, for watching this. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts. And of course, until next time, stay classy.